Hello and welcome to Central Florida Salute. I'm your host, Bob Peters. I have two veteran guests with me today, a Catherine Wilgus
Yes, sir.
and a John Stiles, without an H, by the way. Make sure he told me that. John is the commander of Post 35 American Legion in Mount Dora, and you are the cook or the kitchen manager
And chef.
and all-around worker up there. I know because I've been there. But we're not going to talk too much about the Legion right now because of part two of this show. We're going to go up to your Legion post because I, for one, am very honored to see what you guys did, and that's going to be a great second part of the show. My first guest is John Stiles, who is a career Army, and tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? When did you decide to go in the Army? Why? And where did you go in the Army?
I'm from a small town in southeast Mississippi, Lucedale. I was born in Macomb, Mississippi, but was raised in Lucedale, graduated high school, got married, raised a family, and then at the age of 28, decided, because Desert Storm kicked off, I wanted to be a part of that. Mm-hmm. So joined the Army and decided after two enlistments that I wanted to stay for a career. So that's what I did. Being from southeast Mississippi and not experiencing snow, my first duty station was Anchorage, Alaska.
Oh boy.
Lucky me.
Yeah.
Arctic paratrooper. You know, people say, first of all, you're crazy for wanting to jump out of an airplane.
Absolutely.
And secondly, you're from Mississippi. Why do you want to go to Alaska? Well, with the Army, you don't always have a choice, as with a lot of the military.
So you jumped out of airplanes into the cold snow.
Yes. At times 50 below zero.
Well, God bless you. You're a better man than me, John.
Well, I was younger then, I could handle it.
Yeah.
I did infantry for 6 years and then was looking for ways to promote my career and volunteered for recruiting school and got very, very lucky and was hired in the Special Operations Recruiting Battalion, which we traveled to all military installations nationwide and abroad, looking for the right soldier for the right job. So I spent the rest of my career traveling extensively and looking for some of the best and brightest soldiers and female and male that I've ever met. And you can tell I'm emotional about it.
Well, that's great. I mean, I salute you for what you did in the service. You say you went overseas and recruited too? Or
Yes.
What countries were you in?
We had an office in South Korea. We had one in Germany. We had a small office, Bagram Air Force Base, Afghanistan. And we had office in Hawaii. But each location, and 9 locations in the U.S., and we all had an area of which we were responsible for. Mm-hmm. So, and it was an exciting career, being able to find the smartest, the brightest, the people that can think outside the box. And it's refreshing. I was very fortunate that my son-in-law, whom I met as a PFC, 19 years old, which became the first E3 to get selected for Special Forces, and later became my son-in-law. So I got very lucky.
So is he still in?
He is now medically retired.
We should thank you for his service.
Yes, sir.
And, so now you are the commander.
I am the lucky, kind of, no. Very fortunate, very lucky to be the
I got a nice little picture here. This is a picture of a ceremony you did.
Yes.
You want to say what the ceremony was?
Yes. We do a flag retirement ceremony. We have a collection box inside the Legion that's specifically so that people can bring their worn and tattered flags. And once we get the box filled, we do a very formal flag retirement burning ceremony.
And this is you there.
That's
With
the
all
last
the-
one that we did, yes.
Yeah, that was quite a ceremony. You guys do a lot. But this is really about your military careers because we're going to take a ride
Right,
up to your post
right.
because I heard you're buying. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Now we're going to talk to my good friend Catherine. Catherine, you served in 2 different branches of the service. Am
Yes,
I
sir.
correct?
Yes, sir. Army and Navy.
Army, Navy. You want to tell me a little bit about, first you went in the Army, right?
Correct. Went into the Army, delayed entry right out of high school, and became an operating room technician. So I learned to take care of people that were needing surgery, right? And so I did that for 9 years, and I decided I wanted to go to nursing school. And so I pursued that option on my own, and I was able to graduate with my bachelor's in nursing, and I started to work for several years, but always wanted to become an officer. So my next goal was to apply for the military so I can become a nurse corps. So I did, and I was accepted into the Navy. And so I followed my operating room passion and took that to nursing as well. So I specialized in combat care, trauma, orthopedics, vascular, you name it, I've done it.
Well, I know you pretty well, over the last couple of years.
Yes, sir.
And I am in awe of what you've done. You are a veteran, and I got a nice little picture of you.
Yes, that was my
Yeah. What rank would you, when you left?
lieutenant commander.
Lieutenant Commander. So this is in the Navy, because you were Army first.
Correct.
Then Navy.
Correct.
So why did you switch?
Well,
It's a family show now.
I know it's a family show. No,
Keep it short.
at the time, I just wanted the best position for my career, and I wanted to be an operating room nurse. So I wanted to take care of our wounded. I grew up with MASH, and I had that goal that inside me that was just burning to take care of our troops. And so, I did look at other branches, but the Navy sort of sold me on it, and I've been happy with the Navy. It has allowed me to fulfill, my other goals, which were to get on the Comfort. Got to go on the USNS, United States Naval Hospital Ship Comfort,
Wow.
and take care of, third world countries as well, though, during disaster relief and stuff like that. And that was huge for me, And so went to Germany, took care of our guys coming back from Iraq. And then my ultimate goal was to really be in the combat role where I can take care of the trauma right from the flight line. So that's what I did, and that's where I feel like I've achieved my service.
I told you before, we are friends, and I have the utmost respect for you as a veteran, and the utmost respect for you for what you've done, because you didn't have it easy. You had to take care of the most severely wounded. But I do have some pictures of you in uniform.
Yes, Mazri Sharif.
Yeah. Tell us about it.
Camp Mike Spann was named after Mike Spann, who was actually the first American that was killed during the Afghan conflict. So right after 9/11, he was sent over there to try to figure out what happened. And without making this a long story, they named the post after him because he was killed over there. And so, unfortunately, he has a little base named after him. But I was embedded with the Afghan national nurses in the operating room, and on a base called, Mazri Sharif. But anyway, so what had happened is we're there trying to train the Afghan nationals better surgery skills or better surgical types, better treatment to take care of their own, because it was going to be the largest Afghan military base in the country, where we were also a hospital.
What year was this?
This was in 2010 to 11, and then from there I was able, I say blessed, I petitioned for it, but I was blessed in order to get a back-to-back tour while I was in country. And I went from the north to the south in Kandahar at the Roll 3, which at that point in 2011, 2012, the U.S. Navy was taken over from the Canadian military medical. So we took over the Role 3 in Kandahar and took care of all the troops that came from the fight line from surrounding Afghanistan.
So how many months were you overseas, and you were any other deployments where you were?
I forgot the numbers now, but it was almost 2 years straight. I mean, I did get leave. It was a large number, but I was not wanting to leave the country before I tried to achieve my lifetime goal, which was to take care of our wounded. And I felt that, if I left, I would probably miss that opportunity. So I did petition while I was there up in the north, back to the States into what we call Big Navy, and sent them my resume, sent them my qualifications, and said, somehow you must be able to use an operating room nurse. And so, ironically, there was a shortage in Kandahar at the time. And so I had in one hand my orders and my seat to leave Afghanistan. My bags were packed, and they came and said, we got you on another plane. And so, speaking of emotional, I was emotional. All my family expects me to come home, and I had to say,
Not quite
not
yet.
quite yet.
Yeah.
So, there were some hurt feelings there, but, I don't regret moving forward and going to Kandahar and taking care of our guys and gals.
I've said this to you before, your dedication to our veterans, I can't say enough about.
Thank you,
But
brother.
anyway, there's another little picture of you, and you want to tell us a little bit about this picture?
This is actually an Afghan national policewoman, and it was International Women's Day. And they asked for, I was a part of, on my spare time, if you will, part of the FET, which was the Female Engagement Team. And so they were looking for women, veterans, who were willing to come together as a group and to try to mingle with other Afghan national women, trying to bring women up in their country to show them what we do and stuff like that. So we would travel, which was dangerous. We'd travel with the Sec Force, security forces, and all full body armor and stuff. And we'd go and have sit-down meetings with these women with guns all around us. It was really creepy in that sense. But we'd help teach them how to drive as well. There was a lot of things we did with the women out there, and we got to hear their stories and their struggles. And then in turn, we tell them our struggles, because women have struggled in our country too, not as bad or horrific as theirs, but still let them know that there is hope in the future.
Well, women are starting to get the recognition they should have gotten years ago.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about that in another part of the show.
Correct.
When we go up to your post.
Yes, sir.
Just tell me, how long have you been out, and what did you do when you got out?
I officially retired March 17th, St. Patrick's Day, 2016. And unfortunately, I had some health issues, and I had 2 years of surgery, different things on my hip and, related that I had to come back from. But I found some other veterans that got me through it. I'm a member of the Combat Veteran Motorcycle Association,
That's how I met you.
the CVMA. We are veterans helping veterans. We all happen to have motorcycles, and we try to seek out anybody that could use us either for physical labor or monetary. We'll raise money, or we'll do something with our local veterans. We'll house them, we'll feed them, we'll get them dressed for an interview or whatever. And then I joined the American Legion, VFW, and the AMVETS. Fight for all three, just because I wanted to have all three.
Yeah.
I
I know the feeling. Sometimes I forget where I am.
Yes.
But I got one more picture here
Okay.
before we finish up. You want to tell us a little bit about this one?
So these are the actual group of Afghan National Army nurses, which are, of course, all men. And they sent a female, me, to try to help them, whatever. So we had a good time. They were very respectful. It was weird. We did a lot of work with organization skills, surgery. I mean, we went from basic respect of undressing a patient. I mean, we're just doing basic things sometimes, instead of making the patient strip and then walk into the operating room, I'm like, maybe we could just have him undressed and we'll wheel him in,
Yeah.
So it's just certain things, because they did that in front of me, and then I was worried about my own safety because here I had this patient that had to see a female and watch him get undressed. So we're like, it's probably not a good idea that that's how you do those processes. So basically, we were just there to, and we learned too from each other, you know. So I mean, they're a country that's been around since the Russian War over there, you know. So I mean, these guys were good guys. Their lives were threatened. They don't wear uniforms into work. Their bus was attacked. I mean, we were there at the height of Osama being sought and found. We were there when the Quran in Florida was burned, and that caused people to be beheaded. I mean, we were on lockdown. We carried our weapons. They were read all the time. And so, you know, these guys risked their lives to come to work as well. And so we risked our lives to go to work with them. So it was a very unique situation.
Yeah.
Even though, you know, quote, Afghan advisors, you know, some of us were being hunted.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, when I was overseas, you go and you leave the United States, you go into another culture, another way of life, you know. Like I do remember when I was in Thailand, I had a very good friend of mine, and we took a trip up to Bangkok, and he grabbed my hand and to walk across the street. Well, United States, you know, wait a
Grab
minute,
each other's hands.
you know.
Yeah.
But that was their way of friendship.
Yes.
You know, and so you got to see a lot of different cultures, I'm sure.
I did. Well, I was also, when I went to Kandahar, I was able to see other nations. I mean, even up in the north, we were a small fob of 400, but that fob was all advisors from different countries, whether it be, you know, in the Navy, there was only 13 of us in that base. We were just for medical, but they had people there all over the place for, you know, building, construction, security, all different countries. We had Croatians. I got to eat with Croatians. You know, it was very enlightening to see other people.
Yeah. It is, isn't it? You know, to see and you get a whole new outlook on life and everything. You know, my opinion. You know.
Yes, sir.
So anyway, you did how many? You did 8 years.
I did 9 years Army and 11 Navy with a 7-year break.
Wow. That's amazing.
What's good news, I'm going to tell you a quick funny story, is when I joined the Navy, apparently my 9 years of the Army somehow got lost. And so 4 years into the Navy, something occurred, and they asked me, is this my right date of service? Because at the time I didn't know when I switched where my Army time went, where my Navy went. I didn't know that they ought to be collectively on my paycheck, right? Nobody ever really told me that transition. And so I was like, well, not really, because what happened to this? And they're like, you were in your prior service? I said, yes. So for 4 years, I was not getting paid with my 9 years enlisted. So needless to say, they came to me and said, well, prove that you were Army. And I thought, what? So luckily I saved all my stuff, because I was always told to save all my stuff, even though I was 9 years out. Hurricane Andrew as well went through it. 7 years out, I still had all my paperwork. So I sent them all my information, and I got a real nice hefty check for my back pay for the miscellaneous time served. But more importantly, I was closer to retirement now on paperwork.
Yeah. So now you can get TRICARE and all that.
Exactly.
I got a question, because we're going to be going pretty soon. But American Legion, how did you get in it? And I know now you're the commander. Why?
When I retired, March the 1st, 2011, I had moved to Mount Dora. Every year I'd go on vacation somewhere in Florida in the latter part of my career, because I knew I wanted to live in Florida. Discovered Mount Dora and knew that this is where I wanted to retire. So in doing that, I got bored real quick. So I went to culinary college, Lake Cordon Bleu, and finished that. I worked for Lowe's for one season. But in the moving process, we discovered the American Legion. And I read up on it, and I just felt like I had to be a part of it. And during that time, well, for several years, I was just an active member. The commander at the time, when I decided, they asked me if I'd step up to be first vice commander. And I said, sure. Loved it. 4 years as first vice. I didn't want to do anything else. I was happy doing it. I was good at it. I still do it, but I have a first vice now, so it's hard for me not to do his work for him. But
You're my kind of guy.
so
I'd love somebody to do my work.
so the previous commander to me left, and they asked me if I would stay on as commander, and I did, because I felt, because there was a lot of issues going on at the time, and I felt like my role is I couldn't let them down. So I felt like I needed to step up. And I did, and I'm now happy that I did. It's been a struggle, especially since COVID hit. We're going to survive. We're fighters. And, we've been around since 1919. We celebrated last year our 100th anniversary. It's been a good journey, and I am just happy to be part of it.
That's why you two are here, I gotta be honest with you. Because I'm the one kind of person who really likes people who step up and make a difference, and both of you are difference makers.
Thank you, brother.
And, speaking of the difference, I used to go to that post, been going there on and off for many years, and I can't believe how you've cleaned that place up. And we're gonna go see the murals in a little
Yes,
while.
excited.
But you are the in charge of the kitchen, right?
Yes, I volunteered for that position.
Uh-huh.
She
So-
gets paid the same as I do.
Yeah, probably the same as me.
0.
Yeah, 0, that's right,
Right.
yeah. But you went to culinary school, you said too,
Yes,
right?
for baking and pastry. So
So who's the better cook?
I am.
Oh,
he is.
he is.
Who's the
I have
better
the-
He's the
pastry?
commander.
I
He
have,
is.
I
Who's
have
the
a
better
toque.
pastry chef?
I have a toque. She doesn't.
Who's the better pastry chef?
You.
There we go. So he specializes in the culinary side, and I specialize in the baking and pastry.
So
really, we make a
hours
team.
of,
Good team.
your hours of operation up there, you do lunches, dinners, what have you, right?
Well, here's the deal. We are trying to grow the kitchen, to be honest. So right now, because of COVID, we were doing much better until COVID happened.
I'm
right?
sure.
So right now we're only physically open Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday for the kitchen. Okay, from 5 to 8. We are trying to work with schools right now that we can get the culinary students in, and maybe because of COVID, they can't have one-on-one practices, in their kitchen. That maybe they would like to come if they're, more of the junior or the senior level, that they would want to come to the kitchen and use our kitchen to help them progress in their skills in their career. And while volunteering, we get the kitchen hours opened more. Because right now, it's hard to stay open for nobody. And so, if we can, and we've gotten our kitchen license. I'm the certified kitchen manager now for the state. We're working on the extension of premise right now with the city, so we can actually have gatherings outside with liquor and food and bring out the people, and make it open air feel, stuff like that. So, we have a lot of things on our plate right now that we're still dissecting and cutting up properly. But we're there. We're ahead of the game, So all the groundwork has been done. The ground has been cleaned up, tore off, and we've rebuilt. And so now we're just trying to get everything in position.
And unlike a lot of private organizations or nonprofits, we're open to the public. So we encourage, and we're working with the city to be more involved in the community and support each other. And the community is welcome to come.
Yes.
Our doors are open for them as well.
Yeah, well, like I said, you guys are difference makers. I've seen that already, but we're going to go up there pretty soon. But I just want to say thank you for your service, both of you.
Thank you for
Thank
yours.
you.
And it's been an honor, really, doing this little segment. But we're going to take a ride now.
All
in
right.
Part 2
part 2.
We're going to mysteriously
Deuces.
appear
Ooh.
in Mount Dora. So let's take a
Hang
break.
on. All right,
we'll
brother.
we'll see you in Mount Dora.
Peace.
This is part 2 of our American Legion Post 35. Hey guys, I'm glad you came along. This is Eric McFarland and his beautiful wife Liz and Elizabeth. And I want you guys to see these murals, so let's go inside.
Let's do it.
Hey, there he is.
Good to see
How
you.
you doing, Commander?
Welcome, welcome.
Hi, John. How are you, sir?
Hey,
Good to
Eric.
meet you, sir.
Good to
Eric
meet you.
and
Wife,
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth.
Welcome, welcome.
So, you know, we heard about these great murals you have, and they want to see them as well as I.
Yeah, we're proud of them.
You should be.
So we want everybody
Looking
to see
forward
it.
to seeing them.
Yeah.
Let's go on inside.
All right.
Okay, now we're going to...
We're currently in the process of conducting a tag sale. So the mess that you see is not permanent, I promise you. So look beyond that and let's go check out the murals, and you're going to meet the artists.
All right. I'm looking forward to meeting her.
Come on in. Watch your step, please.
Well, you certainly have stuff here.
Yeah. We had to stop donations because we had so much coming in. We had no longer had
Oh,
room.
and by the way, my friend from the SOS, Gary Cato, wanted to say thank you for the donations that this post gave to him for the homeless people.
Oh yes, absolutely.
So you guys did a great job with that.
Thank you.
Is that young lady?
Let me introduce you. Here's our first mural, and I'll let Carrie, the artist, tell you more about it.
All right, let's go over and meet Terry. Hi, Terry.
Carrie.
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 Bob
to meet
Peters,
you.
nice to meet you,
Nice
host
to
of
meet you.
Central Florida Salute. And you are the artist that, and I'll tell you something, this just blows me away. It must have taken quite a while.
It took quite a while. It was over 660 hours.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
And how did you get involved in this?
Well, I always wanted to do a military mural. And I pass by very often and say, one of these days I'll stop there. At the time I was working for Disney, and then I retired. And I my husband happened to see something on the Mount Dora word of mouth about a mural that they needed. You know, military mural, had no idea it was here. And I answered the call, and sure enough, we came, and I was able to interview and show them what I had done before. And this is how we
What have you done?
this.
What have you done before? You painted
well-
houses, right?
Well, I painted houses, yes. We used to live in Fort Myers, and that's what I would do, murals. I've done it at churches and schools, and
How did you develop this talent?
it's God-given talent. I've got to give them the credit. Since I was 3 years old, my parents noticed. I went as far as high school, and I'm pretty much self-taught. And
Wow.
eventually I got to my dream place, which was Disney. Worked there for a while, and when I retired, I figured I'd go on my own.
Well,
So.
tell us all about it.
Well, as you can see, there's a frame around the mural, and this is civilian life out here, and that's the battleground. So you can see how the flag starts. This is my idea. The flag starts flawless, and then it's Old Glory is going into battle. And there's a call, like right here, September 11th, which we'll never forget. When we send out, the troops, and you can see this part here is Desert Storm, and it covers quite a few things, different wars, different military heroes. Some of them are real people that come here even. This lady is the one, her sister, her twin sister. She's the one, Catherine, which I'm sure you'll meet later on. This is
Well,
her
we've
twin
had the
sister.
pleasure of meeting Catherine.
Okay.
Yes. She's on
And
part
this
one.
is her sister. She's coming back. I see she's stepping into civilian life, meeting her little boy. So we thought that was a good, I kind of like to draw things out of the frame, kind of out of the box. And then you see, as we go, there's a merchant ship we didn't want to forget them.
The Jeremiah.
The Jeremiah.
Yeah, that was big in transporting the troops in World War II.
Exactly.
Matter of fact, I saw that ship. It's docked in California, and I went on it.
Wonderful.
Yeah. I love military history.
Awesome.
I don't mean to interrupt.
We had so many people come and say, I'll tell you later on, but this gentleman was one of a member of the troop, and on this ship. So we wanted to, Catherine knows his family, wanted to include him. Of course, we got this different military, the dogs that are so
the canine, yeah,
important, the canines.
very big part of the military.
Yes. And then you've got different wards that we wanted to. This is Korea. This is, as you know, this is D-Day,
Yes.
where you have all the.
I've had quite a few people on my show, that were part of D-Day, and my uncle was part of it and was awarded Distinguished Cross for Heroism on that beach. So that's a very special meaning to me.
That's awesome. And then as you go on, these are some of the people that brought me pictures. This gentleman comes in here all the time, David. He said, you got to have a trumpet player. I said, well, bring me a picture.
Panama City. Panama City, huh?
Yes. So, and this, someone that was her grandfather. This lady comes in here all the time. And this is Sandy, she's right now tending the bar. That's her father.
Oh, okay.
And she comes in every morning and says, good morning, Daddy. And that was the last commander here, Donnie Williams. And really nice guy. He used to open for us and for me every morning and make sure,
This is amazing work. I mean, you got the MASH unit and everything.
Thank you. Yeah, this, as you can see, the walls are really rough. But I managed to. It's hard to get a brush in there sometimes. You got to wet it really, really nicely. And, Tuskegee Airman, and of course it goes on and on. That's, I believe that's Korea? I can't remember.
Yes, I would guess that's Korea.
Yeah, Korea.
With the snow and everything.
Yes. And then these are just, of course, the branches of the military. Our missing Space Force. So, somehow we got to make a little.
Got to make a little space for it.
A little space for it. And this is the Buffalo Soldiers.
Yeah.
We wanted to include them.
Of course.
Special. They're very special.
And we have a spy plane up there.
Yes. That's a drone up there.
Yeah.
And there's just different people that have been here. Part of the leisure. This young man, his father flew this plane, and now he's part of the, does the same thing as his father does in the military. When I was painting, a couple came in, and this young man says, you've got a lot of Army, but you don't have enough Navy. And I said, well, I'm not finished. Give me a break. The next time he came in, he said, well, you still don't have anything. And I said to him, I said, well, I do. Take a look at the sketch. Of course, there was no paint on it. So he looked closely, he says, that's the U.S. Saratoga. I was in that ship.
Oh.
As a matter of fact, that was my plane. So we had so many, stories.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's a lot of history here.
He had tears in his eyes. He said, how do you pick that? And I said, I don't know. I just happened to pick that one. He said, wow, they just, So he was really touched. And of course, we got Vietnam.
Oh, yes.
There was a couple of gentlemen who flew these.
The Hueys,
You
yes.
gotta have a Huey.
Gotta have a Huey.
Yes.
Where's the B-52?
You do run out of room for, eventually.
Well, I was Air Force. I was with the B-52s, yeah. So after you get the Space Force, then you're going to get the...
Yeah.
Well,
And
it's
then,
there.
of
It's
course-
behind that big picture.
Yeah,
Just
okay.
can't see it.
But of course, this is what we dread the most. Those who have been.
You have somebody here that you knew here.
Yes, I do.
Tell me about it.
This is my son Louis. We lost him. It's going to be Sunday. It's going to be 6 years that we lost him.
Oh, I'm sorry
We
that.
didn't lose him in the war. we lost him to a motorcycle accident, self-inflicted, going too fast.
But
That
he,
boy
obviously a paratrooper.
he loved anything that was dangerous. So
Yeah, well, you got to if you're jumping out of a perfectly good
Yes,
airplane.
yes.
The only ones worse than that are the ones who jump out of a perfectly good airplane and land in snow.
Exactly.
Yes.
Water. Yes. But anyway, this is, it's been an honor and a pleasure to do these. It's
And you have the
just,
Soldier's Cross, to honor them. And it, like the Vietnam Veterans Wall, there's always something left behind. You did that with the bottle of Bud Light. Wow, this is
Exactly.
amazing.
Exactly.
We were
Yes.
so fortunate to have ran across her and met her and her family. They instantly became part of our family. So
Yeah.
we love y'all.
Oh, we love you guys. It's been awesome. It's been an honor and a pleasure.
So this took you how many months? Or
Oh, it took about 3 months.
really?
Like I said, about 660 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, it really is something else. But we have another one that you painted, right?
Yes, we do.
And Catherine wants to talk about that one.
Absolutely.
So
she
let,
needs to. That
let's take a
was
walk over to the
her
other
doing.
side.
She just directed me, and I.
She's good at directing
Yes,
people, yeah.
she's good.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
So let's go, we're going to go over there now and talk to Catherine.
So this is the other mural which honors all of our female veterans. And to talk smartly about that, we're going to bring in Catherine.
And we know Catherine, she was on part
we met her
one.
a time or two.
She was on part one of our show. And she is a big part of this. And there she is again. And Catherine, we're going to let you tell us what's here.
So, when I decided that I really wanted to have a women's memorial wall, I wanted to illustrate that women have served in combat than just before Iraq or Afghanistan. So what we try to represent here is a lot of firsts for women. And so, but we have here, this is in Arlington, and essentially this is a 10-foot replica for size comparison of a statue for the nurses memorial section in Arlington. Because nurses were the only ones that were allowed to join or serve in the military, so we have a lot of first, which were nurses. So if you see here, this actually is currently sitting in Arlington, and this is the a Spanish-American war nurse. So that's how far back I'm trying to go. This woman right here was the first military bugler. There's so much interesting things about this wall. This is the first first Sentinel soldier who guarded the tomb of the unknown.
Catherine, I'm going to move on the other side. I don't want to block the camera, so you get over here. And yes.
So she was scheduled to come, but we had to cancel because of COVID, but she was going to be here in the house. She's since retired. But she set the standard, and there's been 2 other women that have reached that goal to guard the tomb of our unknown soldier. We have members, wives that were in the military up there. We have Harriet Tubman. Harriet Tubman, most people just think that she was a slave runner, that she tried to save the slaves, but she was also a spy for us, and so she was in the military. She was a POW, she was a spy, and she started the Underground Railroad, to save members, whatever. So, but if you continue down the wall, what is so interesting is what I decided to depict is we have women who were serving in our country as men because they wanted to serve the military, right? So, because women were not allowed to serve, but they wanted, if you look back, they wanted a job, they wanted to eat, they wanted a better life, and they didn't want to stay behind. So Deborah Sampson, that is her real name, she joined under an alias, not once but twice, and actually left, but she was in an elite unit. So maybe like special forces. She wasn't just in any unit. And the only reason why she got out is that she was wounded. She got 2 bullet holes, and they found out she was a woman. But she was able, she knew Paul Revere, which is crazy, right? She knew Paul Revere, and he helped her get the benefits.
Oh, that's great.
Which is like 26 cents a day back then, but she got back pay, okay? Dr. Mary Edwards Walker, this was so important because right now in our day and age, we have 3,010 Medal of Honor recipients in our country. How many are women?
Colleen's husband.
And the thing is, this woman right here, she came to the military as a surgeon saying, hey, I would like to operate and take care of our wounded. And the military said, I'll make you a nurse. She stood her ground and she says, I'm not a nurse, I'm a surgeon. So essentially, the military took her and hired her as a civilian contractor, if you will, equivalent. So she went to combat and she operated under fire in the combat zone during the Civil War. So what happened is she actually becomes a POW at one point. She was trying to be arrested because she was wearing slacks under her dress because of what she was doing. It wasn't really good to be wearing just a dress, so she wanted to wear pants. So after her service, she was awarded the Medal of Honor. And so the thing interesting about Dr. Mary Edward Walker is that a few years later, several years later, they decided to redesign the criteria of the Medal of Honor. And so she was one of about 70 people who they said, sorry, thank you, but we'd like the Medal of Honor back. And so there's history saying that she meted them at the door with a shotgun and said, I don't think so. And she was wearing her Medal of Honor. So Dr. Mary Edward Walker wore her medal till she died, and then they took it. It wasn't until actually President Carter reinstated it. And to this day, she is still the only woman to ever receive the Medal of Honor. Next, we have Cathay Williams. Now, I know her name as enlisted because she went in as a Williams Cathay. She switched her name, and she also went in as a man. She's known as the first Buffalo Soldier female. Okay, and interesting about her is her family knew she was doing it, right? So she had 2 cousins or a brother, and they all went in, and she did not want to be left behind, and she wanted a better life, so they kept her secret. Again, she was wounded, and that's how she ended up being found out that she was a woman, and she never got her benefits. She never got her, right? So Chief Loretta Walsh, her claim to fame, I try to pick women that just meant something over a time, and she's actually the first female who was able to join not only as a woman but in a non-medical status, because before you could only join or serve if you were a nurse, something like that. So she became a chief yeoman, and she's recognized every year on her birthday for the Navy as the first woman to join as a woman in a non-medical status. Okay, and the interesting fact about that is that she joined the reserves, right? And they asked her, say, hey, here's our deal. We want to promote you to join the reserves because we feel that if you do it, we'll get more men. So guess what? Not only did she join the reserves and get more men, they also got more women from her enlistment.
Down here right now.
So as we go on, we look at Ensign Ann Bertatus. She is also another nurse. But her claim to fame, which is awesome, is that she has the Legion of Merit with Combat Valor. That is unheard of. And actually, while Carrie was doing this, we came across an Army veteran who said, hey man, there's no V in Valor on that medal. And I'm like, she got one. Nope, they didn't issue Valor with that medal. I said, stand by. So I went, I did more research, and I found out that the Valor was only given, you could only receive it if you were in the Navy or the Marine Corps. Army was not eligible to receive the Valor edition, right? And since then, you've not been able to receive Valor on this Legion of Merit, except for that time period back when. So she is one of the few women who has a Legion of Merit with Valor for combat. It's awesome.
We need to go back this way a little bit, Kathy, because we have a lot of people down here.
Well, you know, what I want to look at is what is our centerpiece, right? So I was talking with Carrie, the artist, and we decided to go with this is the National Women's Memorial out of DC, which is borderline property with Arlington National Cemetery, which most people don't even know where this is. But this general right here, General Vaught, she just celebrated her 90th birthday. General Vaught went to Congress and said, hey, we need to get a women's memorial. So any woman who served, combat, non-combat, friendly, foe, anybody's allowed to join here. And she took this piece and made it a national monument for all female veterans. I'm registered there. You could go there, put my name up, you'll see my pictures and my history. And so what we're still trying to do is to gather all women who have ever served in here, because of the early times of our service, we were not really documented. We were volunteers, but we served. So she was a huge part of that. And interesting, when this was commissioned or this was opened, the first bugler of the military was still alive, and they asked her to bugle at the opening ceremony, and she did.
Wow.
So that came full circle, right? So when we look at World War II, we couldn't, we try to highlight World War II, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, Gulf War, Iraq, and Afghanistan, as well as our post and some of the members that are in it. So when you look here, you have Colonel Ovida Culp Hobby. She was one of the first WACs. She was actually the director of the Women's Auxiliary Corps. So, I mean, you look at her, she almost looks like she was in the Legionnaires over there in another country.
Yeah, French Foreign Legion.
This is Lieutenant Anne B. Burns. She was actually a nurse in France, and she was actually John's great aunt who served. So we tried to incorporate all the connection of our families to boot if we could. For the Korean War, we represented with Colonel Ruby Bradley. Currently, she was declared or named the most decorated woman in military history from all her wars that she'd also been in, but she also received the Nightingale Award as a nurse. Again, most of these people are nurses because that's the only job that they would give us women to serve in our country, right? So, okay, here's the best learning tool yet. A year ago, I found out that there were women on the Vietnam Wall.
8 of them.
8 of them. And so when that happened, it actually brought me to tears. Because I feel that our society and our education failed us in that. Because we always talk about the men on the wall. Why don't we ever mention the women on the wall, right? So I knew a group of combat veterans who went up there for the last Rolling Thunder. And while they were at the wall, they had representatives from the Women's Memorial standing there at the wall highlighting these women. And all of a sudden I received a text and it was their finger pointing out a woman and they said, "Hey man, did you know?" I was so saddened that I didn't know and that nobody ever told me, and I'm a woman veteran who by heart is passionate about our service. And so this woman right here, Lieutenant Sharon Ann Lane, is one of the 8 who only was killed by direct fire. So the other ones, they were killed in Vietnam. They died either in a helicopter crash, but it wasn't due because it was shot down. So, if you will, her notoriety comes from that she was actually killed while still trying to help and save patients. Okay, this is the only picture that you can find of her, and it's very limited access of her existence, if you will. So we did highlight her on there, and I make sure that I spread that.
You know, a lot of people don't know there's a lot of chaplains on that wall, too. I think there's like 16 chaplains on that wall. They think everybody was, you know, infantry, whatever. But that, of course, as you know, a chaplain doesn't carry a weapon.
Right.
You know,
Their assistant does.
Yeah, but see, I've done a couple shows. I knew about the women on the wall.
Well, if you saw, speaking of chaplains, if you saw on the first wall, that's one of the things that I wanted to reach out about, is that we do have chaplains on that wall. We have a chaplain on the wall taking care of a soldier who was wounded with his person watching him, because they don't understand that they're non-combative, but they're here to save. And that's a whole nother desire that people can't seem to understand. You don't even have a chance to fight for yourself. So being inclusive, that is a section that has also been forgotten.
Yes, that's
Not
true.
anymore here. So then we have Sergeant Leanne Hester. Sergeant Leanne Hester, she is actually still currently in the military. She's a sergeant first class now, so she's made rank. But during this picture we chose, this was actually her in Iraq in the desert receiving her Silver Star. She is the first woman since World War II to receive the Silver Star. She was a policewoman, and they were in a convoy, and they took on fire. And her sergeant at the time, who outranked her, said, "Hey, get out. Get out and fire." She says, "Aye." She gets out and they start firing, and they're trying to kill and survive, and they do. So, you know, they've asked her, "Man, what was it like?" She's like, "I was doing my job. It doesn't mean that I'm a woman or a man. I was doing my job."
I'm a soldier.
Big deal. Right, she's a soldier first. So what I like about it is if you go to the Women's Memorial, right up here, this is a walkway actually. On this walkway, there are window panes, if you will, of glass that you can see down, sort of. So when you're inside, you can look up and it reveals light. But there's etchings on there saying, and she's on there, one of her quotes saying, "I was just a woman doing my job."
There's a lady of this post, this one here, I kind of recognize her.
Yeah. So this is me Afghanistan war, this was actually the day that I was going out with the Afghan nationals to promote women, if you will, and they asked for women military veterans to go out. So we got all dressed up, we went out with the Sec 4, and that picture just, it was a weird day that day, you know. I'm here trying to bridge gaps, but you're in fear of your life. And at one point, which was a surprise to us because we volunteered to go and meet them, they told us to ground our gear. They told me to take off my chest plate. They told me to take off my helmet. They told me to leave my weapon in order to show good faith, because they were coming to meet us with nothing. And I paused and I thought, well, I think I should have read that between the lines a little bit closely, right?
Yeah.
So we did, and I have a photo that's very sombering to me that I keep, that is all of our women's stuff all stacked up as we go in to have tea, with all these security forces, the Afghan National Army, everybody pointing weapons as we're entering into this building for a meeting with these women. And I just thought,
This could be it.
you never know. So very, 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 very real day for me. But then we went ahead and we started showcasing our other members here. She was a WAC. She served 33 years in this Legion.
Wow.
And she has a little section in our meeting room of some of her memorabilia that she has donated to the Legion. So I wanted to make sure that we put her here. She's no longer with us, but she served many years as a woman that should be recognized. And then, of course, we have Legionnaires of the Year. And so let's say there's 60 or 70 men that are Legionnaires of the Year. We only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 women that are Legionnaires of the Year. So what we did is we put them on here to show that we have also contributed to the history of our post, right? So we have Joan, who's also another member here, and she's actually the woman, if you want to point fingers of why I joined, she is it. Because, and I told her this and she knows this, she's Vietnam era. And I came to a meeting and I was requesting money as the CVMA for Combat Veteran Motorcycle Association. And we asked for X amount of dollars, and it was small. And then all of a sudden she stood up, raised her hand and said, "Can't we give more?" It just shocked me. We got more and a woman asked for it. You know, and so I knew right then this was going to be my home. Because if they could listen to a woman, support her, this is where I needed to be. And so I put all my energy into this place with her. This is one of our other members. The day she made chief, huge. This is her brother who was already a chief. Pinned her rank on her collar that day. That family, it was just so important. And then, you know, it was interesting because I did another talk or whatever at another area and about women in the service, and I have this print of this memorial in my house because I was there and I had the artist sign it as well. I'm big on that. And I sat for an hour with this picture on an easel, and when it came time to talk, I asked everybody, I said, how many people, because we were here to learn about women in the military, I said, how many people know what this is and where it's located?
Washington, D.C.
Out of 110 people, you'd probably get 8 that knew what that was.
Women's
So
nurse.
I had to tell them this is the Vietnam Nurse Memorial, which is a hand's throw from the wall. So we don't really know. We don't put ourselves out there.
A good friend of mine, her name is Linda Schwartz. She was the Commissioner for Veterans Affairs, now she's in Washington, D.C. She was a big part of that. She was a nurse also in Vietnam. And when she came back home, they lost compression in the airplane for some reason. It opened up. She suffered brain
TBI?
yeah. And when she got off the plane, she couldn't recognize her own child.
Wow.
But she went to the VA, and now she's very big in the Veterans Administration down in Washington.
Wow. The other thing I want to highlight with Carrie and this wall is that when Carrie and I were working together, it was so fluid that we bounced our ideas off each other. You know, it was fun working with her. We did a lot of research. That's how I know so much. But like when she came with this idea of the start of the wall to blend it, she had somebody there holding a flag and a weapon, and I thought to myself, wait, I bet you I know somebody that could actually fill that. So this is actually my friend, HM1 Davis, who I served with on the Comfort, and she's an MA. She's a military police there for the Navy, and that's her. African American. She's now since retired, and she just feels honored and blessed that she is on our wall of women. So I thank them for that. But before I go, I want you to pan really, really slowly, because we thought about this very clearly. As I talked about on the wall, that there are panels that if you take the upper deck and you meditate or whatever you want to do, you can see quotes. And we chose the quote at the bottom, and this is actually on the memorial of the Women's Memorial. And if you need to, I'll read it for you.
Yeah, why don't you do that?
It says, "Let the generations know that women in uniform also guaranteed their freedom, that our resolve was just as great as the brave men who stood among us. And with the victory, our hearts were just as full and beat just as fast, that the tears fell just as hard for those we left behind." And here's what's so pertinent about that. This was by a lieutenant in World War II. And I still feel this to this day. And so what that means to me with this wall is that we need to educate so we can make our women feel welcomed as well and that we have served. And so I thank you for showcasing these murals.
Well, I must tell you one thing. I have a friend whose name is Bill Suki, and it's a very good friend of mine and also our camera person. And he did a documentary on the WASP, Women Air Force Service Pilots, who shuttled the planes back and forth, and they were volunteer, and when they said, "That's it, you're out of here," they got no benefits. They had to fight for their benefits. And it's a great documentary.
I see that. I'm glad you brought that up because, you know, one of the things I took away from that same documentary is that men were trained to be pilots. And when the women came in to fill their spots during a time of need, they had to come trained. They went to school, they became a pilot. So the talk about the inadequacies of the two, these women came in to fill spots, had to get educated first, come back to the military and say, "I am here." They became pilots, and then after the war, they shuttled them off and said, "Thank you, no thank you."
Yeah.
And so so they have they have actually now got their Congressional Medal of Honor and all these things for recognizing, because at one point, you know, they were just saying that, let's just say in the past 10 years, first women pilot. And these women are like, okay, time out.
Yep.
I've had it. We can't take it anymore. No, we were the first women pilots. And that's what this represents, is that we have been here. We have not been acknowledged. I wanted to share it with everybody and to let them know that, you know, don't ask us, thank us. That's my motto nowadays. We served, and, you know, we're happy to have done so.
Well, I'm glad you gave us the talk about this, because we really want this video that we're doing here to get out to the school system,
Yes.
to the kids, you know. And I'm going to leave you one more thing about the Lady Wasp.
Sure.
The B-29, they had problems with it, with the crankshaft. It was magnesium, and it would catch fire. Nobody wanted to fly that plane, so they said they fixed it. They fixed it. And they says, "Well, no, I don't know." "Yeah, we got one coming in. Look," and it landed. And the men were all standing there. It was a total crew of women that flew it in. So that's a little story that you might want to. Yeah.
Very nice.
But I flew on a B-29. You know, it was a great airplane. Of course, that's not a B-29. But yeah. So thank you guys for having us here, sharing your story.
Yeah. We appreciate you coming, and Carrie, thanks to you for coming out and joining us.
Making our
As you
post,
can-
Yeah, come on over here. Get back in the picture. The artist.
As you
making our
can,
place better.
as you can tell, we're passionate about what we do. We want to make a difference, and we'll be here throughout. So thank you for showcasing us,
Deuces.
taking the time to come out and see our murals, and because we've been wanting to share them, you know. And I would encourage people to come look at them close. You know, there's pictures and you can see it on video, but seeing it, be able to see how she took the texture of that wall and made it look
life.
just as smooth as this one.
Hopefully, when
It's
things settle down
incredible.
with this virus and stuff, you reach out to the community, have kids come in,
Yes.
and
Yes.
give them the tour.
Well, on top of that, we're also in the process of doing prints with the artist. So the art copyrighted. But she will sign a few that will be available hopefully by the end of this year, that, will be able to be purchased and help, and all the proceeds will go to the American Legion.
Okay, and you have, it's going to be down the road, but you have to keep checking the American Legion
Yes.
post?
Yes.
Yes.
Website.
HTTP, American Legion 35, number 35, mtdora.org.
Don't
Okay.
forget the org.
Check us out.
Well, listen, it's been great to be here. I'm glad the president from the Eagles, who's very supportive, the Eagles are very supportive, came down, and his beautiful daughter, who's his wife, is here, Elizabeth. And you guys have done a fantastic job. It was really a privilege to be interviewing you, all of you. And my dear, you're fantastic.
Thank you.
The very first one, I want it autographed. I'm buying it.
No, that's
But I have a way of saying goodbye, and I think some of you guys know this. If you're a veteran, you salute like this. If you're non-veteran, you salute like that. But to all our veterans out there, active military and their families, we salute you for all you do. Till next time.